What's going on, guys? Today I'm here to talk about J. Cole's next and final album, The Fall Off. This is J. Cole's much anticipated last studio album, whether that means he is done with music altogether or maybe just no longer ever does a studio album and leans more towards singles, features, mixtapes. Who knows? He could mean retirement right now and still just go back on it because that's how rap retirement kind of just goes sometimes. But that aside, the main thing I want to talk about today is just how interesting it will be to see how this impacts his legacy. I don't think anyone would deny J. Cole's skill. There's a reason he, platinum, no features, like kind of speaks for itself. But with his actions and his backing out of the whole Kendrick Lamar beef, that definitely made a lot of people look at him differently and maybe not respect him as much. Not musically necessarily, but just as a hip hop artist specifically, if that makes sense. Because obviously, I would say a lot of people that want to stay true to the art of the music of hip hop would say that not not thinking you're number one is somewhat like goes against the idea of being an MC in the first place. They almost go hand in hand. While no one would ever really, depend. I think that messaging definitely switches up depending on the artist you're talking about. For someone like J. Cole, that's where that message is going to resonate the strongest. And it's like, okay, but you kind of went against everything that the genre stands for by backing out the way you did. While other people think that it's just him staying true to himself. I don't think he was lying with the messaging that he said on why he was backing out. I don't think that was him, making anything up. I genuinely think that's how he felt. But obviously, some people, that's not going to be a good enough reason to have done what you've done. Honestly, he would have just been in a better situation if he just never said anything truly than saying something, taking it down off streaming services, backing out, and then now you're looking wishy-washy. And that you would have been better off just straight up not responding probably. Now there's a whole narrative around your actions and how confused, because it's like, well, which one is it? Obviously, he still has a very big hardcore fan base, and I think he still has plenty of fans that rock with him. And honestly, we are far enough removed that I think a lot of the negative conversation around that has died down, and the album is definitely gonna stand much more on its own merit than had he released it at all sooner. Whether he took this amount of time knowing that or just because the album wasn't done, who knows? Could be a combination of both. But I am very excited for this project. And the reason I even bring this up is more so because the mixtape he dropped, I cannot remember the name of it now, but what he dropped right around the time of Like That. I'm pretty sure that was the time. Like That dropped, and then he dropped this with the 7 minute drill, and that was a good mixtape. Like that, it was had a lot of really really solid tracks on there, and I feel like no one talked about that project because it was just so overshadowed by what had happened with the Like That track, with him then taking 7 minute drill off. That just sort of just overshadowed any positive commentary over it. I know some more diehard fans of his probably talked about it, but as far as like the mainstream discourse, that project came and went so fast. The only real discourse about it that stuck around was the fact that he took it down after, and specifically the 7 minute drill song, not the whole project. And that has me wondering, like, will people sort of kind of not care? Like, I know, like I said, he has a big fan base and a lot of huge fans that are going to check this out no matter what. But I guess more so, will the legacy and impact that this project leaves be somewhat diminished because people, or at least a lot of more mainstream fans, are remembering that stuff? And to a lot of people, like, it's a little bit different, but it's sort of comparable to when an artist is just corny or kind of lame, and then they could drop objectively good music. I would say a great example of this, and I might get torn apart for this, MGK. I don't love MGK's music, but he's got some good tracks here and there. But his public persona and the way he's perceived makes you just feel a certain way listening to him. I am guess embarrassed a little bit, or just like, this guy is kind of corny and a lot, and it shouldn't matter that part, but it definitely does. I guess a more accurate analogy would be when someone you don't like says something funny and you don't laugh at all because it's someone you don't like that said it. That's kind of what it is. And like I said, I know that he has a huge hardcore fan base, and I know people definitely give him the respect musically, unlike someone like a MGK, where a lot of people do not give him that respect. I think he's got some good tracks here and there. Just to somewhat defend myself real quick, he's got some good tracks here and there. He definitely has some music that isn't good. But I definitely think the main consensus around him as an artist is dictated more so by people just not liking him than actually listening to his music. But besides that, this is not about that. But yeah, I think that most people will probably be willing to give it a chance, especially if it's really good. If it's somewhat mediocre, that's where I see it kind of just getting forgotten about. I don't think that will be it, because I've never known J. Cole to put out subpar music, or at least not entire projects worth of it. I can't remember the one song, but he definitely had some trash lyrics on that. But that's like one bad song, and he has an entire discography that is quite incredible. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think that the events that led up to this, and that with the beef and all that, do you think that's going to heavily impact the way this album is received, both commercially and critically? Or do you think that just enough time has elapsed? Or do you have like an alternate take on what might happen? But whatever it is, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. Thank you for listening. Thank you for everything. Like, subscribe if you wouldn't mind, and I'll see you later.